We go. So finding your way into your wide-legged child's pose. Um, Always feel free to place a blanket underneath your knees as we come into this, or even your pillow or blanket underneath your seat for your heels. Sometimes that can provide a nice cushion, but also can close the gap and not have to feel like we have to like hold ourselves up a bit as well. So take whatever variation is going to call to you here as we come all the way down. Arms can be out long, or even arms can just start by our sides. And so as you arrive in your wide-legged child's pose, I invite you to take a deep, slow breath in through the nose. And then exhale, open mouth, sigh it out, let it go. A deep, slow breath in through the nose. And exhale, open mouth, sigh it out, let it go. One final time here, full breath in. And a full breath out. As we settle in onto our mat, we take one moment to pause and to honor the stewards of the land who've come before us. So here in Washington, D.C., we're on Anacostan land and Piscataway land. And as we move into our practice of yoga, a practice of unity, a practice of liberation and freedom, we're reminded of the roots of our yoga practice. The first practitioners come from the subcontinent of India, and our indigenous teachers there codified the practice so we may begin to experience it today. And through their knowledge, through their teachings, we're also reminded that yoga is more than just the physical shapes we make in our body. It's a connection between ourselves, between each other, between the world around us. Taking a moment here to notice your senses in the external space around you. So noticing what your body is touching, the earth, the clothing as it wraps around you. Noticing your sense of taste in your mouth, your sense of smell as you breathe in and breathe out. If your eyes are already closed, feel free to keep them closed and observe maybe the light as it moves across your closed eyelids. And even here, taking a moment to observe outside sounds. So starting with sounds that are farther away. And we'll begin as you're ready to move your senses inward. So moving our sight and sound inward, bringing our sense of sound to an object closest to us in our body. That can be a gurgling tummy, a heartbeat, flow of blood in our body, any other sounds that might be making. As we move our sight inward, using this time to take a full body scan, working either from head down to toes or toes all the way up to head. Just knowing what space we're taking up in this physical environment. And as you take this observation, also observing where you're feeling the most bound, mentally, physically, and emotionally in the body, and where you're feeling most open as well. And taste and smell, and even touch. Can you feel your bones and your organs inside? Can you feel your muscles wrapped around bone? And then from here, as you're ready, so if you're still taking your full body scan, continue to do so. There's no rush. Bringing your connection and your senses to your breath. We'll always keep an inner ear on other sensations that arise in your body, but observing now your breath and its interaction with what you've noticed in your body. So if it feels comfortable, moving into a deep diaphragmatic breath, breathing in through the nose, feeling belly and back and ribs expand. And then as you exhale, feeling your body move back toward the midline. Using your position in your wide-legged child's pose to almost as tactile reinforcement so you can feel your breath transfer to the backside of your body, working toward a 360-degree experience with your breath. Slow and steady. I invite you to welcome in the breath as your guide today. I invite you to welcome in the sensations into your body, listening to your sensations, so you can adjust and meet yourself where you're at on your mat. We'll take several more breaths here, and also using this time to set an intention or your sankalpa for your practice. What is going to serve you best on your mat? What do you wish to cultivate and take with you? And what you need to leave here that isn't serving you? And repeating your sankalpa to yourself 3 or so times. Start to feel it sink in and become connected to your breath. And then slowly letting it drift away. And on your next exhale, slowly beginning to pull yourself up, finding your way to a comfortable seat on your mat. This can be crisscross applesauce. You can be sitting up against a wall, or even have your legs extended out long in front of you. So we're going to take a pranayama exercise. It's called a Brahmari breath, and it's designed, or the focus is to help the nervous system settle and calm a bit more. So we're more on the parasympathetic side of the nervous system. One thing to note about any pranayama exercise is if that it brings up anything that's like super uncomfortable, anxiety, or it triggers you in any way, I invite you to suspend the breath and just return to a seated meditation and take a natural breathing. If you also find that your heart starts to palpitate or anything like that, suspend your breath, suspend the practice as well, and just return to a natural breath. Some days the pranayama works with us and some days it doesn't. So stay up nice and tall. With our Brahmari breath, we'll breathe in through our nose, filling up belly, back, and ribs. And then we're gonna, as we breathe out, make almost a buzzing sound, as if we were a bee or another insect that made a buzzing sound. So taking a deep breath in, we'll take a cleansing breath here. And then exhale, letting it go. Inhale. And then as you exhale, there's a slight gap in the teeth. The lips will come together, but they're not pursed. You can even have a slight gap in the lips. So you feel as if there's a hum in your head. So taking a deep breath in. And on your exhale. Continuing at your own pace and your own rhythm. We'll be here for about a minute or so. Take one more full round. Coming into a cleansing breath, full inhale. And then exhale, let it go. Just taking a moment to pause and check back in and notice how you feel. And then as you're ready, we'll begin to move into our first shape. No rush to get there if this is the space you need in stillness. We're going to start off with a dragon cycle when you're ready. So I do recommend blocks or books for this, but again, it's totally optional. And from here, starting on our right side today, so starting on our more active side, more sun side, bring your right knee over your right ankle and think about stacking left hip and knee in one line. You can take this in a 90-degree angle if you'd prefer. We'll begin with our blocks on the outside of our feet or our hands flat on the ground, the outside of our feet for dragon flying high. You can stay here or start to move a little bit more forward. And so as you move forward, the more you're going to feel it in your left hip flexor and your right hip joint. So this is baby dragon. If you're using blocks or even just pressing your hands to the earth, we'll be here for about a minute in each shape. Notice if you're gripping for dear life on your blocks or on the ground. As the shapes get more intense and really as we work into our hips, I have a tendency to be like, okay, I'm gonna grip, I'm gonna tense everything up so I don't feel like tension elsewhere. Try and release as best you can, focusing on the breath, even coming out of the shape a little bit if you need to. We don't have to go to a point of crazy intensity, and we get to decide what our edge is today. You may be around a 50 or 60%. We never have to be at 100%. That's not what it's about. And during my talking, we've done about 45 seconds. So hopefully that distracted you just a little bit. Keep breathing here. Take a breath in and out. Staying here if you'd like. We're bringing your hands up to your thigh for dragon flying high. So again, this is totally optional. I'll be very honest with you. I can't do that right now. It does not feel good on the baby belly. So I'm going to stay here. But even as you do that, again, notice where you're feeling the tension at in your hips. And if it gets a bit more intense, find your breath and see if you can focus on a spot in your body that has the least amount of sensation. On your next exhale, bring your blocks and hands inside your foot, adjusting the level if you'd like for our dragon flying low. Try and keep your knee pointed straight forward right now. If it wants to turn out, that's okay. I do recommend then coming onto the pinky edge side of the foot. Just make sure everything is still stacked and in line here. Take a deep breath in. On your exhale, slowly begin to move and straightening your front leg, coming into a half split. So just feeling hopefully a release in your front leg. And you can rock back and forth if you'd like between the two shapes. So on your exhales, moving back to our straightened leg. And our inhales, drawing ourselves forward a little bit, or just staying in the half split variation. We won't be in the half split variation for long. And then as you're ready, slowly go ahead and release, coming back to your tabletop shape. If there's any movements there that you need to take, maybe it's release, maybe you've realized that there was a lot of extra energy there that needs to be moved around, so you come into a whole other shape. Take your time, then we'll stack the next side right on top of this one. So as you're ready, from tabletop, place your left foot in between your hands, straightening your right leg as much as you need. So you can always stay in your 90-degree angle, especially if you're feeling that in your right hip flexor and left hip joint. And then you can adjust the length of both from here. Hands coming to the outside of the feet right now for a baby dragon. It's okay if the front knee goes slightly past the ankle. That's fine. If your back knee's feeling a little tender, place a blanket or a pillow underneath it for support. Focus on your breath. So now may be a good time to name your breath. Inhale as you breathe in. Exhale as you breathe out. Take a breath in. As you exhale, stay here or bring your hands up to your thigh for dragon flying high. So you can stay in your baby dragon or you can bring your hands up, optional. Listen to your body. Find your breath wherever you're at. And find and notice a spot in your body that's holding the least amount of sensation. So your pinky toe, the space between your eyebrows, your nose, maybe even your pinky finger. Take a breath in. As you exhale, bring your hands inside your foot. If you're using blocks, you can lower the blocks down to a different level. You can bring your hands all the way down to the earth or to a pillow if you'd like for dragon flying low. Again, knees should be pointed straight forward, or you can even open the leg up out to the side if that calls to you for an external rotation. Take one more full cycle of breath. And then on your next exhale, very gently and mindfully, move slowly so you come into your half split. Feel free to rock back and forth between knee forward and half split, or staying in your half split. And then as you're ready, coming into your tabletop shape or taking maybe a down dog or any other movement that's going to call to you here. Cat cows, maybe like just moving your hips around. Whatever's going to feel best. It does not have to be a quote unquote sanctioned yoga pose. Any movement that you add to with your breath is a yoga asana. So just follow your body, let it guide you. And then from here, when you're ready, finding your way onto your belly or your back or your side for puddle pose. So inviting in rest in our puddle pose. And as you come into your shape, again, on back, belly, or side, or just staying seated, whatever's going to feel best for you, take a couple of deep, slow breaths here. And as you observe your body, observe your emotions, observe through the mind, see if you can notice a positive quality about yourself, about how you're feeling right now. And I know we don't always come to the practice positive and happy, and we don't have to. But can we use this moment to tap into our inner joy and find something positive? It can be really, really small. It can be really, really big. And then as you're ready on your next exhale, just begin to slowly lift your way back up to a comfortable seat. We'll set up for our next shape here is straddle pose. So starting with our legs out long, go ahead and open your legs as wide as they want to go. A pillow could come in handy here if you'd like, and I'll show you a couple different variations for that. But physically what we're doing is we're working on the inside of our legs. In particular, you may feel a stretch along the meniscus, the inner part of the knee. If this is a lot on your knees, slight bend, or even placing your blocks or pillow or towels underneath it. You can activate through your quads for a bit too till things start to loosen up. Always option to sit up on a pillow or a blanket to tilt your hips forward. From here, we're not actively reaching. We don't do that. That's too much work. We're just going to slowly come forward and allow the body to go where it wants to go. So the back can round. And whenever you feel the stop, whenever you feel the stretch that you want to get out at this moment, the intensity will end there. So notice how I'm not like reaching and gripping forward. I'm just sort of stopping in a good middle place. Your pillow can be used as just lovely cushy support, placing it underneath your heart, or depending on how forward you want to go today, you can stand it up on its edge and use it to place your head. So as we settle in here, take a couple of breaths to invite yourself into this shape. We'll be here for 5 minutes. And so I know when I say that, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, 5 minutes is forever. And that's very, very fair and very valid. But I invite you to switch your thinking on that. Go, oh, I've got 5 minutes to ease and sink into this shape without forcing anything. We'll see if that helps a bit. Knowing that you can always come out of shapes at any point that feels good for you. You are the authority in your body. I'm just here as a guide. And as you start to settle in here, coming back to your breath. Naming your breath. That was a tool that you found helpful. And we want to use these tools to just ignite this idea that we don't have to do all the work, that gravity can do a lot of the work. And we can let our body sink into things. You can always place blocks or underneath your pillow, or more pillows too, if you need additional support in the upper body. Props are awesome. You never should be afraid to use them. If you need anything, let me know. That's what I'm here for. Let's take a deep breath in and out. Slowly, gently, begin to make your way out of your shape. Take your time. You can always use your hands to bring your knees up. Oof. Moans and groans, I should have said this at the beginning, are perfectly acceptable in yin and oftentimes encouraged. It's just encouraged. It's another way for the body to release what it needs to. And then we'll find our way to our puddle pose once again. So on your back, on your belly, on your side, whatever's gonna feel best. And I know sometimes in the shape, it's really hard to practice stillness because the mind is doing so many things and the energy could just be at a point where it's like, I've got to move, and that's fine. Welcome in that and see if you can use this time to find stillness. Stillness is just another opportunity for rest, thinking about reintegration of ourself together. So mind, body, spirit, reconnecting as one. So if you find yourself a little fidgety during shapes, it's totally normal. It's totally cool. Take movement mindfully as you need it, and then reinvite stillness or really take advantage of this time of stillness. And then from here, beginning to make your way on up to your comfortable seat. We're going to come into variations of swan pose. And I'll offer several variations, or at least two variations, just to decide where you're at. So first option is on your back in a reclined swan pose, right or left ankle across the opposite thigh. You can stay here, or you can bring your left or right knee closer to you. So you're creating 90-degree angles in a lot of ways. The wall can be really helpful here. So underneath, behind this foot, excuse me, you can press into it. And then you can also use that time to open up your thigh a bit more. That's variation one. Oof. Variation two is also known as pigeon pose in your yang practice. So one thing I will say is just to be mindful of how cold / warm your body is. Normally this is taken after like a heavy vinyasa practice, so you might be a little bit more open. We're approaching this a little colder, so a bit more caution and care and compassion will feel best. So I'll start on my right side, always the option to start on your left. Down dog or tabletop, up to you. Bringing your right knee behind right wrist, left toes toward left wrist. Your back leg is nice and straight, making sure that your back toes aren't going rogue, so they're not like doing something funky. Block, pillow, or blanket can always come underneath your right hip or left thigh. Stay here. You'll feel this on the outside of your leg and in your glute. And depending on how far you fold forward and how tight you might be, you feel this on your left hip flexor as well. Folding forward if you'd like, using your blocks to help support your heart, or using your pillow as extra cushion here as well. So your options, your choice. We'll be about 4 minutes on each side. So again, always the option to come out of things a little early if you need it, and take a little movement. We're gonna come into either reclined figure 4 or our swan pose, up to you. Yeah, make sure that feels okay on your knees, Sue. If it doesn't, let me know. I've got other options. Okay, cool. All right. I'm gonna be silent for most of this. Invite you into listening to your intuition in your own body, noticing your sensations, and seeing if you can calm and still the mind. And then on your next exhale, slowly take your time. Come on up. Move into a downward facing dog if you'd like, or a tabletop. Take hip circles or big leg circles or anything else that calls to you. Moving mindfully. I'm inviting a couple of deep breaths in. Excuse me. And then when you're ready, friends, in your time, in your space, I'm just going to switch to the other side. Take your time. No rush. So we'll draw our left leg forward, right leg back. And it's possible you start to notice some differences here too. And so We're not going to try and match left side to right side. As that goes away, we're going to honor the left side and where it's at. So thinking of it, its own person, its own inner child, if you will. So make the adjustments you need to make to help support the left side. And on your next exhale, slowly rise on up. Take your time, take what movement calls to you. Down dog, hip circles, cat cows, whatever you need. And then as you're ready, come onto our backs. So for our final shape before Shavasana, we're going to come into a variation on like a deer pose or a saddle pose. So bringing the knees up to the sky. We'll start with our right foot. Begin to bring your right foot underneath the left leg so the heel is toward your left glute. And then you'll open up your your right knee and hip out to the side in an external rotation. So your right knee will either be on the ground or on a block, depending on what you need. Feeling the stretch on the front side of your leg, hip flexor, IT band area. Adjust where you feel your right heel. So the closer toward the glute, it's likely you'll feel a stretch that's a little bit more deeper and intense. The farther away, something a bit more subtle. One is not better than the other. It just is what you need today. And we'll hang out here. And then as you're ready, drawing both knees back to the sky, taking your time. We'll stack the left side on top of the right. So coming your left heel towards your right glute, allowing the knee to open up out to the side. Noticing any differences here. Knee can come onto the ground or to a block. Finding your breath. And then from here, as you're ready, coming out of your shape, taking any final movements you need before finding Shavasana, final resting, back on your belly, your side, even legs up the wall. This be a time of true rest, of letting go. And as you settle in, see if you can bring yourself to be 5 to 10% more comfortable. Starting to reawaken your senses, adding in movement to your body, feeling as if you're moving from inner to outer, and slowly taking your time to mindfully and gently transition to a comfortable seat. Pausing at the top when you get to your comfortable seat. Just taking a moment to adjust to your surroundings. Maybe notice a few objects in your room, reorienting yourself, closing your eyes. Drawing back to your intention and setting your intention for the rest of the day. Taking a cleansing breath as you're ready, full breath in. And then exhale, open mouth, sigh it out. Lifting hands to heart center, bowing your heads in a moment of gratitude, thanking yourself for making time for your mat, and silently thanking those who joined you to create our virtual community. Be the positive change you wish to see in the world. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Thank you all so much for joining me today on this Friday Eve. If you have any questions, let me know. If you need anything else, let me know. If not, I hope to see you